Que onda? Thanks for watching Doing Life with Jenny. If you're new here, in June of 2023, I moved from the US in St. Louis to Mexico to the state of Hidalgo. I'm here with my buddy Sammy to explain how my first year in Mexico went. If I went into detail about a topic already, I'll link it in the description box below in case you missed it or in case you're new here. We're going to cover 4 things. How did the first year go? Expectation versus reality. Do I regret moving? And the 4th one is a surprise, so be sure to stick around until the end. So how did it go? So as you guys know, when I first moved here, I lost a job, I replaced it, and I lost another job. In neither circumstance was it my fault, but that's kind of what I was welcomed with when I arrived. It was very stressful, but it all worked out in the end. You guys also know I've been dealing with a land dispute. This has been going on since October of 2022. We have finally come to an agreement. We're just waiting to sign. We were supposed to have already gone. I showed up, but the other party did not. So hopefully soon I'll have a final update about that situation. I also got a new friend. You know, I brought Ruthie from the United States, and we found Sammy here living on the sidewalk. As you saw in the last video, he just finished chemotherapy. And he really melts my heart when I see him because I remember him being so skinny living on the sidewalk, and now here he is in my bed with his head on the pillow like he's the king of the house. In my first year here, I also visited some old places as well as some new. Let me start with the ones that are all here in Hidalgo. I went to El Rio in Progreso. I went back to Las Grutas de Tolantongo for a second time. Hang on, let me think about if this is since moving here or just a previous time coming to Mexico. Mineral del Chico, the water park Dios Padre in Ixmiquilpan. I think that's it for the state of Hidalgo. And I've gone to Mexico City a good handful of times since living here, but not for like touristy reasons. No. I went to the beach in Tecolutla, Veracruz, and I also went to Tlaxcala, and stay tuned because we're heading back very, very soon. Also, the old people, especially the old ladies, love me here. There are 2 ladies that live in the subdivision behind me. They kind of fight over my attention almost. One of them has a husband, and they've all basically adopted me. The one that's a couple, their daughter and her husband, and now little baby, live in Puerto Rico, and they're back visiting with the new baby. And they insisted in me coming to meet her daughter and have dinner with them. And as I've mentioned before, everyone has been super, super friendly towards me. It does help that I'm one of the only foreigners in the area, and for sure, I'm the only one from the US in the area. It could be different if you're in an area with a lot of immigrants. People might look down upon that. And then of course, at the end of January, my dream came true and I moved into my house. They never did come to finish the house, but once next school year starts and I have a steady income again, I'll finish that stuff up. It's really not expensive, but given my low income for the summer, it's better to not touch my savings. But there were lots of things that went wrong, and there were also lots of things that went well, so I guess we'll call it a break even. So now, expectation versus reality. I've talked about this topic before about making friends in Mexico and how to do it. I am finding it difficult to make quality friends that you can actually hang out with. I am fluent in Spanish and I'm not afraid to put myself out there. However, and I've talked about this before, their schedules here are crazy. A lot of people work Monday through Saturday, only leaving Sunday available. Well, if you're working Monday through Saturday, Sunday is your day to get caught up on laundry, to meal prep, or whatever else you have going on. Go visit your grandma, have lunch with her. Or some people are off Saturday and Sunday, but then they work like crazy hours. For example, my neighbor, I believe she works 8 to 8 or 9 to 8, and I'm quoting her, so that she can have Saturday and Sunday off instead of just Sunday. Well, old lady here goes to bed at 8 or 9 o'clock. So I'm sorry, by the time you get off work at 7 or 8 and we meet up, it's too late for me. Before I go to my next bullet point, if you're new here, I just want to tell you, I've been coming to Mexico since 2005. I was married to a Mexican. My experience in Mexico has not just been like tourism in Cancun. Like, I've lived with Mexican families here. So I already knew coming in that Mexico is unorganized and it is very go with the flow, but you don't realize how bad it is until you're actually living here. Especially if you're going to buy a house instead of rent. Because usually if you're going to rent, a lot of the responsibility falls onto the landlord. But if you're buying or building the responsibility is all yours. So therefore you have to deal with more people, and you just see how they don't show up or they send you around in circles. And I've gone into detail about this several times, so we'll just leave it at this. So we all know that the food in the US does not have the best reputation. It's a lot of processed garbage. So I was looking forward to coming to Mexico to have a lot of the fresh produce. However, I have found the produce, at least in my area, to not be the best. So you might buy like a peach or something and it has no flavor. The kiwi might be like hard. The strawberries, they might look good at the market. I promise you, by the time you get home 20 minutes later, half of them will be rotten. I'm not exaggerating with that. The produce has gotten better starting about mid-May because it's the season for a lot of things at the moment. But I would say after August or September, the quality of the produce was quite poor. Or like the peas are very like dry, but also maybe I'm just used to canned peas. I find the bananas to be consistently tasty, but I can only buy about 2 at a time, otherwise they'll go bad. And at times the produce selection is quite limited. You're always going to find bananas, mangoes, oranges, papayas, pineapple. They're like at almost everybody's stand. And then depending on the size of the market and the time of the year, there will be more options. You can find other fruits, but like those are the main ones that you're going to see a plethora of. Everybody's stand has it. Other fruits you might have to go looking a little bit or wait until the right season. And I'm not complaining about this, but the produce tends to be a lot smaller. For an example, a plum in the United States is about this big. A plum in Mexico is about the size of a large grape. But I'm not complaining because I know like the produce in Mexico is more natural. The cost of living is what I expected. Like I tried to figure it out before coming here and I was pretty close. I originally thought I would be spending about $400 to $500 a month here, and only factoring in those categories I originally had, that's what I'm spending. But I ended up getting homeowners insurance, and I ended up factoring in home maintenance as part of my budget too. So that way when a project comes up, I already have that saved. I didn't think I was going to hate my town, but I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I do. I thought it was going to be a little bit smaller, a little bit less developed, but I really, really, really love my town. I love my neighborhood. I have zero complaints there. As you know, one of the reasons I chose to move to Mexico is because of the amazing public transportation and the walkability. However, the bus system isn't quite as good as I thought it was, partially because I do not live in a major city. So one, I'm finding there aren't like frequent buses between Pachuca and some other cities I was trying to visit. I'm finding you need to actually plan ahead and you'll have to stay the night somewhere instead of just doing a day trip. For example, I wanted to go from Pachuca to Cuernavaca, and based on what I could find on Google, okay, there might be a bus that gets me there in a timely manner that doesn't have a website. But anyway, I believe it left like in the middle of the night, maybe like midnight was the middle of the night for me. And I think there was a second bus that left too. But basically it was going to get there at like 3 or 5 in the morning. What was I going to do in another town I don't live in at 3 or 5 in the morning? When I've been trying to plan day trips, that's been kind of a common issue. And if that wasn't the issue, it's that the bus got back to Pachuca too late for me to catch the bus home. And I'm not talking about crazy late or anything, I'm talking about like maybe 10 o'clock at night. I would have expected there to still be buses, but no. If I actually lived in Pachuca, a lot of that would be resolved, but there are still some limitations. But overall, I am very happy with the bus experience, including from my town, which is not a major city. So thirdly, do I regret moving to Mexico? Well, you guys know from a few videos ago that I almost moved back to the States temporarily, but ultimately I did decide to stay here in Mexico. I do love it here, and it's not that I regret it, but sometimes I think, okay, if I had just stayed in the States at my house that I owned or at my studio apartment, and if I would have given up the side hustles and only taught during the day, maybe I would have been happy there. But I really wouldn't have had the money to go and do things with just my teaching salary. And here, once the new school year starts, I will be in a very good financial situation. I was this spring semester too, but I just knew I had to save money for summer break. Otherwise, I would have been taking you on more trips. So I am having to watch my money here too, but at least I'm working less. I'm working from home so I can be here with my puppies. My schedule does allow for me to go take care of things while they're open, like if I need something at the bank. I do sometimes worry about what's going to happen if there's a real emergency, like a medical emergency, and I'm here all alone, and I will lose out on my income if I can't work. But no, I don't regret moving here. And I am in the process of trying to find like some health insurance and disability insurance, things of that nature, but people just don't get back to you here. If I shifted, Sammy just rolled over and moved the camera. So lastly, the surprise. In my first year in Mexico, I met someone. I'm not going to go into too much detail because it's new, it's not even official. Sammy, did you move the camera again? Let me see how much I can tell you at the moment. So we'll just say on one of my day trips, I saw a musician and they had a little tip jar. And so this band was very talented. It's a genre of music that I really love. So I left a tip and I left my phone number in the tip jar. And for all I knew, he had a girlfriend or a wife or something. So I didn't have very high expectations. And I didn't get like a call or a text in the next couple days. I'm like, okay, he's taken. But I really appreciated him not messaging me and cheating on his girlfriend or wife. And then a week later, I get a text saying, hey, you left your phone number, this is so-and-so. So apparently the little paper I wrote my phone number on got stuck and he had just seen it. And so we started talking, we have a lot in common. I went to see him, he came to see me, and we've been talking for about 5 weeks now, and there has not been a single red flag, folks. If you know me, you know that within 5 minutes of talking to someone, there's either a red flag or they've annoyed the heck out of me. So I'm feeling quite optimistic. But yeah, that's my first year of Mexico in a nutshell. Again, if I referred to a video I've already made that went into detail, I'll link those below in the description box. I really appreciate everyone's support this past year, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Adios!